Chris, great to see you. USA won the last two BetVictor Weber Cups under your captaincy. Now going for the three-peat later this year. How confident are you of keeping hold of that trophy?
Well, the European squad has retooled as well, and so I'm sure they'll come back and they're motivated. But and I really like our squad, so cautiously confident, I guess, might be the right way to put it. I think we're loaded, but we all have to play together. We're back to fives again, and so a lot of things change from the previous years.
You've played in the Weber Cup with five players before. How different is it from playing with four players?
I think it's really more team-based with five. There's a lot less ability for a player or two players to really get hot and take over the event. You really have to have three or four guys bowling well. To dominate an event, you have to have, to win, you have to have at least three that are bowling extremely well, because there's going to be some even matches there for sure. Like I said, as low as the European team is, there's no doubt they'll have a couple of guys going as well. I anticipate Jesper having a comeback year, and we'll probably see more of what we've seen in the past. And so we'll have our hands full all the way around.
Well, let's have a chat about your team and the players you've picked. First of all, Bill O'Neill, who qualified. It's been 5 years since he last bowled the Weber Cup, but plenty of experience on that lane. What are you expecting from Bill?
Well, a different experience than what he's had in the past. He's probably been the most successful Team USA player internationally. He's had a couple of kids. He's a great family man. He is kind of rededicated himself and reinvented himself in an era of the PBA when rev rate has been king. As a guy he's not low rev rate for sure, but he's not in the two-handers range, and come out on top of the U.S. squad as a top point getter. He's a great shot maker. I think he has some things to prove, maybe to himself and maybe to the European fans. And I expect a much different Bill O'Neill than we saw the last time there. And I'm confident that he'll be a key component for us.
What do you think it is with Bill O'Neill on the Weber Cup? Because like you say, he's been so successful throughout his career on the international stage, on the PBA Tour, but it hasn't quite clicked at the Weber Cup. Is there any reason that might be?
I think momentum has such a big part to do with who wins and who loses at the Weber Cup, and really some small matches can really pile up. We saw it happen to Jesper after never losing a point, it seems like, for years. Once Simonson kind of broke through, it really changed the momentum and his momentum as well. And I think it just got rolling against Bill. And we all bowled, extremely well or poor on a certain lane. Tommy on that same lane was magnificent. And Bill saw the other side of that. But it's a new lane from when the last time he played on them. And, like I said, I think he's a different player now than he was then too. He's added more tricks and tools to adapt to the environment that constantly changes.
Well, moving on to your wild card picks, and three wild cards you got to choose this year. I guess Kyle Troop and Anthony Simonson, both kind of no-brainers. So let's talk of Anthony. He's been the MVP last year. He's been a key part of the team as you've won the cup. How important is he?
Well, I think you guys would replace me before we replace them, for sure. So let's reset that. But anyway, with Simo was kind of, like I say, he was the first one to really beat Jesper in a number of years. And so his very first match out, he gets to go out and take on the giant, and he slayed the dragon in the very first match. And it kind of opened all our eyes up, and we're like, oh, hey, we weren't even expecting to win that point. And then he beat him again the next time, and then the momentum completely shifted away from Europeans' favor and advantage. And so, he is not afraid to step up in the big moments. This kind of lane and this kind of action type format speaks to his true nature and what he really loves to do. And I think this is a great fit for Anthony. And I think he's really thrived there.
And Kyle's first couple of experiences of the Weber Cup weren't too great. He was on losing teams, but he completely turned that around alongside Team USA. He was the MVP 2 years ago in England, and again, could very nearly became MVP last year, so another key part of the team.
Yeah, him and Simo, without a doubt, have been the strongest two players. And, one of the three of us will have to help them out this year. And in the case that they are not as great as they were and just average to being very good, a couple of us will have to step up. And so, but Troop has been great. This, Weber Cup really gave him his first chance. He was certainly full of talent, but he hadn't realized much of it on tour. Getting to bowl that Weber Cup the first time and being on TV, he kind of found a home and some confidence. And then from then on, both his PBA Tour success and Weber Cup success has increased kind of at the same levels, and he's become very good on both sides. Obviously, he's a showman. He loves the crowd, and now his abilities are matching his outfits in their ability to draw attention.
Absolutely. I guess with Kyle and Anthony, they were both quite easy wildcard picks for you. They were kind of no-brainers. EJ Tackett, great player, but I imagine there were other players in the frame for that spot as well. Was that a difficult decision for you?
Yeah, there was a lot of guys in the decision. We had Jacob Buttroff from before. Tommy obviously has a lot of Weber Cup experience, even though he wasn't as high in the points. Chris Prather in the last couple of years has had some really breakthrough years. But the guy who's had the most success that's not named Belmonte over the last 3 to 5 years has been EJ. And he got one shot. The team was didn't gel well together, kind of got off to a bad start, and like that said, that momentum got moving the wrong way, and it was just a very odd experience all the way around, where he had very little success, and that's unusual for EJ. He's a son of a bowling center owner. He's a kind of a bowling alley rat. He likes to be in there and practice, and he has a lot of tricks under his belt, and so I anticipate him to really be a big difference maker for us, and obviously a guy who can, he needs to get his feet wet and get a little confidence, but he doesn't lack that, and he's got a ton of game. Like I said, he's been the best guy in the world over the last 5 years consistently, where he makes 5 to 6 shows a year and just been outstanding. And so I felt like that was the way to go.
From the outside looking in, it feels like Team USA now compared to when EJ last played in 2017. It's a much closer bond. You gel a lot better together. Do you think that's something that will really help EJ perform to his best level at this year's Weber Cup?
Well, I sure hope so. I think that's part of my job, is to make sure we put him in situations to be successful and put him to where he can play to his strengths. And, depending on what patterns we're bowling on and those kind of things, it's basically I think my job is to set him up to where he can be as comfortable as possible early on, and get his feet underneath him a little bit, and then from then on, his talent will take over the rest. So,
and final member of the team is yourself, Chris. Lots and lots of Weber Cup experience that you've got. Do you feel that your job is almost the father of the team now?
I suppose that's probably a good way to put it. Really, like I said, I think the job is kind of bring together a lot of really confident and strong egos and let them play together versus each playing individually and fighting over who gets to be anchor and some of the other things that can squabble up a team. Whereas Europe, that Dom and Jesper have been the two most successful players by far and kind of know their roles. These guys were all fairly interchangeable, and really my job is just to get in there somewhere and help them out a little bit. But it's to separate it out and just let guys play together that need to play together and want to play together and kind of find the best fits early on, hopefully, on cohesion and those kind of things. And and if I play well and help out, that's great. But I think a lot of probably my biggest role is we've always had talent, but we haven't always played very well together. And Europe's ability to play together spurred a pretty good run there for a while, to where they thumped the U.S. team pretty good. And so we have to match that cohesion to have a chance.
And just before we let you go, Chris, you mentioned Europe's run there. It was 5 in a row. You were out with the team towards the end of that, came back, turned that losing US team into a winning team, and this year going for the three-peat. What would it mean to you to get that hat trick?
Well, I felt like I missed a lot of those losses, and in my mind, I missed all of them, even though that's not really the case. And one of my biggest goals is to make sure my partner, Beef Stew, has a less than 500 record after this next year. So that would mean a lot to me, just on a side note. But I think that Europe became dominant in this event for a little while, and I think it's our job to really turn that back around. And I don't think that's settled all the way. 5-man team changes the dynamic a little bit again, and I think it's a big year for us, and I think it really would turn the tide back towards the USA. I guess being the favorites in this event every year. And that's what I would hope is reestablish that we had early on, and then Europe took it away a few times, and trying to gain that back again.
Well, Chris, we look forward to seeing how it all pans out in
October at the BetVictor Weber Cup. We'll let you go now. We know you've got another episode of Beef and Barnsley to shoot, which we've been loving during this summer lockdown period. So keep that up. We've really enjoyed that, and we look forward to seeing you in the autumn.